Now we are ready to score subscales C and D of the Sis-C.
The items on subscale C are related to school participation activities and frame of reference for all items in the general education classroom and general education school.
For example, for item 7, following classroom and school rules, the context for this item is the classroom and school rules in a general education classroom of students who are the same age as the student being assessed in a local school attended by all students in the neighborhood. This question does not apply to a special education classroom or a special school for students with disabilities.
Each item on the Sis-C is rated across 3 dimensions of support.
The first dimension is type of support. Type of support concerns what type of extra support from another person is needed.
I noticed you said extra in a loud voice. Why is that important?
I said extra because it refers to extra support that most other children in the classroom will not need.
For instance, all second grade students would need some verbal prompting for item number 2, participating in activities in common school areas like the playground, hallways, and a school cafeteria. What this question focuses on is what extra support the student needs beyond that which is provided to most students.
Okay, so for that item, participating in activities in common areas like the playground, hallways, and a school cafeteria. If my student didn't need any extra support compared to other students in the class, I would score the item as 0 for none, even though I was providing the students with verbal direction, just like other students.
That is right. The focus on the extra support needed.
If extra support is needed, I need to decide what the most common type of extra support needed is. My choices are 1. Monitoring, which means mostly observing and checking on the student more than is done with other students, so that there is an opportunity to intervene if the student is under-supported and not successfully participating in activity. 2. Verbal and gestural prompting. For a student to fully participate, someone must provide support verbally or gesturally. This could include extra verbal instructions or prompts to remain engaged in activity and get back on track. 3. Partial physical assistance. For this rating, there needs to be some actual physical assistance provided by another person. 4. Full physical assistance. For this rating, there is regular physical assistance provided to a student.
The next dimension is frequency. Here, the focus is on how often extra support is needed. It is important to remember that the rating is not how often the activity occurs, but rather, if the activity were to recur on a regular basis, how often would the student need extra support that other students do not need?
Is it possible that a student might have a lower rating on type of support, like a 1, because the student needs monitoring, but a high rating on frequency of support because they need monitoring every time the activity occurs?
Yes, that is possible. Also, a student might need monitoring, but only occasionally. In that case, both dimensions would have relatively low ratings. The important thing to remember is to rate each dimension independently. Don't let a rating on one dimension influence a rating on other dimensions.
So, the potential ratings for frequency are 0. Negligible. The student's support needs are rarely, if ever, different than same-age peers in regard to frequency. 1. Infrequently. The student will occasionally need someone to provide extra support to them that same-age peers will not need, but on most occasions, they will not need any extra support. 2. Frequently. In order for the child to participate in the activity, extra support will need to be provided for about half of the occurrences of the activity. 3. Very frequently. In most occurrences of the activity, the child will need extra support that same-age peers will not need. Only occasionally will the child not require any extra support. And 4. Always. On every occasion that the child participates in the activity, the child will need extra support that peers of the same chronological age will not need.
The final dimension is daily support time. And the question to answer here is, how much time is needed to provide support on a day when support is needed?
So this refers to cumulative time across an entire day.
Once again, extraordinary supports refer to the types of assistance that most typically functioning children of the same age would not need, and it is important to keep this focus in mind. The rating options are 0, none, 1, less than 30 minutes, 2, 30 minutes to less than 2 hours, 3, 2 hours to less than 4 hours, and 4, 4 hours or more.
Notice that this item is not asking how long an activity will last, but rather how long support is needed from another person. That person can be a parent, a peer, or someone who is paid to provide the support. Support might be needed before a child gets ready for the activity and after an activity is over to calm down and clean up from the activity.
Also, someone could spend a lot of time providing support to a child, even though the frequency of support was rare. For instance, there could be a child who participates in an activity and usually does not need any extra support, but on rare occasions will become very upset and distressed. On those days, the time providing support may be quite high if it took a lot of time to calm the child down and reintegrate him or her into an activity. Remember, the rating is for time involved on a day when support is needed.
There are 18 items on subscales C and D of the Sis-C, and each item needs to be rated across all 3 dimensions of support need.
What if teachers can't decide between 2 ratings?
In that case, according to the official Sis-C User's Manual, the rater should choose the higher rating between the 2. It is important to not take too much time splitting hairs when making these ratings. It's important for teachers to trust their judgment and move forward.
Okay, everyone. Now that you've watched this video, go forth and fill out that Sis-C.